Okay, since I've started this experiment, I have received a lot of interesting feedback. And I have 2 subscribers! Big whoop. It's DRSNK and Stoneman 1982. And I've got a lot of good comments from both of you, and it's been very interesting. And I also got something in my message box. And this was a reply to my Citizenkong on the liberal media. And this is from Shock Treatment Head. Conservatives are not afraid of immigrants. We just ask them to come to America legally. And he goes on to say, I talked about the Fairness Doctrine. He says, as for the Fairness Doctrine, let's say talk hosts, conservatives, are forced to have liberals on the show. Does it work both ways? Can Savage, Rush, Hannity, etc. go on CNN and all liberal media? Okay, right there he uses the phrase liberal media. And I'll talk more about that later. But I have a problem with that phrase being bandied about, liberal media. Let me tell you, most conservatives don't like Bush. Now they don't. Or even believe he's a conservative. He's a globalist like members of both parties are. I don't find Hannity the best conservative. I choose someone like Pat Buchanan, who is against going to wars for nation building. And I talked about guns, so he talked about guns. I think it's the Second Amendment. He says the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution says the right to bear arms. You want the government to break the Constitution. Well, I never said that. I myself am a gun owner. And then he goes on to say about how Bush has been breaking the Constitution. I'll agree with that. And he says, anyway, I'm supporting Ron Paul. He voted against Iraq. We'll bring our troops home as soon as possible. He's against big brother, big government, against nation building. And then he goes on to say, I can admit liberals were right about some things, but can you admit conservatives were right about some things? I said, bring back the good old Barry Goldwater conservative, and I'd be much happier with that. Hell, I'd even rather have Nixon back compared to what we have now. And once again, he goes to guns. If a dictator ever does emerge, he will take your guns away. If Bush or Hillary or anybody, dictators have done that. Well, I won't disagree with that, but I still think that we should, not against owning guns, I just think that there's a lot of people going around shooting people that shouldn't be able to get their hands on guns, so I think there needs to be some control there. Okay, so I replied to Mr. Shock Treatment Head. Thanks for taking the time to write. I agree with most of what you say. We would be better off if a real conservative were in charge. I like Ron Paul too. If I had to pick a Republican, he would get my vote. That is, if I had to pick a Republican. As far as the so-called liberal media, this is what I think. In order to be a journalist, one usually goes to college. In college, one encounters intellectuals. Most intellectuals tend to be liberal. Liberals tend to think and to look at things from different perspectives. Liberals make the best journalists. There are conservative intellectuals, William F. Buckley and George Will, for example. I like those guys. I also recommend reading Scientific American. Scientists tend to believe in evolution, the Big Bang theory, and global warming. I suppose that makes them liberals too. Thinkers tend to be liberal. As for immigration, I heard a right-wing talk radio guy say that those that do not support the special path to citizenship, look up the definition of amnesty, are not racist and bigots. So what he's saying is that the people that want to build a border fence, or the people that are anti-immigrant or anti-immigration, or says they're not racist and bigots. Granted, I would not say that they all are. But I would say that, that most are good people like yourself. But I go on to say, but if you were a racist or a bigot, would you vote for the bill? All right, so then the next thing, and I won't go on too much longer, but I went to a website that has a very caustic rant about the arts by Michael Savage. It's titled, Michael Savage Bashes Thespian Punks. And this is posted by small caps, DRSNK. Do a search by channels and find DRSNK. He has a lot of good stuff posted. And and it was titled Michael Savage Bashes Thespian Punks. Okay, I posted a comment that said, well, there you go. That is why the right has never come up with good art. If you want good art, go to the left. And then I got a response from Key Monito. And he said to me, are you suggesting that all the best artists are all left-wing faggots like yourself? Moron. Well, that was just plain mean. That was nasty. And I know that the internet people tend to like go off and say stuff. I mean, I have myself just to get a reaction. But I think that was kind of hurtful. And I mean, it does seem kind of typical of a right-winger to go shooting with both barrels like that. But I put it to you. Name any artist that's of any worth, that's in any major art book, and you look at his politics, and I would say 9 times out of 10, 19 times out of 20, that person's politics is going to be leftist or progressive or liberal. And that's another thing that's been going on a lot, is the word liberal being bandied about like it's a dirty word. There was a man that went on John Elliott the other night, called in, started calling Bush a liberal, like it was the worst thing to do. And we all know Bush isn't a liberal. He's some kind of weirdest, I mean, this guy calls him a globalist, but he's a neocon. All right, I think I've gone on long enough. This is Citizenkong. I welcome your comments and your feedback. And cheers, signing off.